money chases scarcity. Once you understand that money chases scarcity, you look at all asset classes differently. What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the Buy the Hood podcast or webcast, because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy, and as we start off every show, that is with gratitude. Shout out to anybody who supports us, everybody watching us on YouTube. Do the YouTubian things, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're watching this on Facebook, hit the like button, like our Facebook page as well. We want to make sure we give everybody a special shout out. And once again, if you didn't see our last show, say Happy New Year to everyone. I am joined by my partner in crime, Corey. Corey, what is up, good brother?
Man, I'm chilling like a villain. Welcome to the new year. If you haven't, we had an episode in this new year already, but if you didn't listen to the previous episode, I'm going to say Happy New Year again. Man, it's been a few years since we've been doing this, man. So
yes, sir.
This is all of the blessings to the people.
Yeah, several hundred shows. Matter of fact, this is episode 200 in Steve Atwater. With that being said, we also got like another 100 and some odd, close to 200 shows of our Friday Live, where we give away Bitcoin every Friday. Interestingly enough, we're going to talk about some Bitcoin. But, it's a lot going on. But one thing we have to address, and it's funny because I wasn't even going to say nothing about this. I've been, dying on the Bitcoin hill for the last 6-7 years now. 2024. That was like 8 years now, almost. Yeah. But anyway, with all that being said, that's funny. I was having a conversation with Courtney, Tracy, and Kamari, our Black Wealth Project family, and I was telling them, they're like, you didn't say anything on this. So I'm like, I'm burnt out, man. Like, I'm tired of socials. The scammers in the black finance space, and I'm just tired of it. So it's like, what am I going to say at this point? But so I've been spending my energy really building with the people within our private community. But I did want to say something on our podcast because, I think it's important to kind of address it just a little bit. I'll probably do a full class with our private group, but I want to talk a little bit about it because there's been some, news within the finance space. And for those that are watching maybe for the first time, our show is dedicated to Black wealth and personal finance. That's the things we love to talk about, and that's what we're going to do. Also, by the way, stay in tune with our social media pages at Buy the Hood on every platform. I'm also at JW the Blueprint personally, and stay in tune because we have an event coming up in February in honor of Leon Sullivan. We are celebrating the life of one Leon Sullivan, and I'll be speaking on a panel there, and it's going to be dope because we're going to be talking about Black wealth and personal finance. So with that being said, though, Core, the Bitcoin ETF got approved. It's about 11 of them that have been approved. And let me really just read the article from CNN just to give a little context. For those that are listening to this, like I always do, I'll read a little bit because I know a lot of folks listen to the audio podcast. If you're watching, you can see on the screen the article that I'm reading, but I will leave a link to this article in the show notes as well as the description, which just comes from CNN. And, it's about... Where we at? How are they just gonna switch the article on me, yo? CNN is bugging. It's about the SEC gives Bitcoin ETFs the green light is the name of the article. So it says after a false start Tuesday, which is also something interesting, the SEC sent out a tweet Tuesday evening saying it was approved and then saying they got hacked, which is comical in itself that it wasn't approved. But now Wednesday evening, as we're recording this, and as we, this is when it's going to hit all of our airwaves, it was approved. So it's going to offer spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, which is ETFs. So it's supposed to make Bitcoin investing more accessible to Main Street investors without requiring them to own the digital asset directly. So Gary Gensler, who is the chair of the SEC, is basically saying this is not an endorsement of Bitcoin, but it will allow it's kind of crazy to say it's not an endorsement of Bitcoin, but we're going to allow the ETF to trade. And they gave out all kinds of warnings about the risks that are associated with Bitcoin, yada, yada, yada. The funny thing about that is with them getting into the space, a lot of people are afraid of their manipulation, meaning Wall Street's manipulation, because it kind of happened with the gold ETF. But with that being said, I'm not going to read through this whole article. I'll put it in there if you want to read a little bit more about it. But a lot of people were upset about this, but there are a lot of people excited about this. So before I give my perspective, and I think a lot has to be said here, Core, do you have any thoughts on this?
This was bound to happen once corporations started to buy Bitcoin. And so once the corporations started buying Bitcoin, once Tesla and MicroStrategy and all these other companies started to buy Bitcoin, this was the next logical step for me. Simply because price appreciation is the thing that people look at. They don't look at the technology. And so the next logical step for price appreciation is adoption. So for me, this wasn't anything that surprised me. You muted, Jim.
Yeah, my bad. I was in there talking to you. I want to make sure I didn't talk over you because I got a lot to say about this. But what is your overall thoughts? Is this something that you'll be using at all?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't be touching this with I wouldn't touch it with your money.
All right. So I respect that. I have a little bit of a different thought with that, right? So first and foremost, let me pull this article down because again, I'll share it in the show notes as well as the description. But I think that there are a lot of misconceptions about this, right? I see a lot of quote unquote influencers who have huge followings online who say things such as, Wall Street and the banks now control Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. People didn't want the banks involved. The point of crypto is to get away from the banks. Now the banks are involved. First off, there's a difference between the currency and the network. They can buy 99.99% of the currency if they want to. They still have no control over the decentralized network, right? That has to be understood. Without a 51% attack, without them taking control of the nodes and being able to validate things, they cannot control the network. So it doesn't matter how much money they pour into the asset class. Now, I've seen things that say about 4 billion at least will flow into the asset class tomorrow, and possibly $1 trillion over time based on these ETFs. So that's a whole different conversation. You're talking about Bitcoin, the currency, versus Bitcoin, the network. The network is decentralized, and it doesn't matter how much of it they control. This is the one thing that most people do not understand about Bitcoin, right? People think that if they acquire a majority of it, they can control it. You can't control it. Now, will you be able to manipulate the price? I mean, that's arguable. But at the end of the day, the thing that gives it value is that it's censorship resistant.
It's the network that gives it the greater value.
It's the network that is censorship resistant, which doesn't change based upon this ETF. It doesn't change based upon this ETF. Here's an analogy. If I have a treasure trove full of gold, right? I have gold bars and coins, right? There's a gold market in terms of what it sells for. Doesn't matter that they have ETFs that are backed by gold. My gold is still mine. I control it. Like, who knows what I have other than me and whoever I tell. The same thing kind of applies here. So that's first and foremost, that's the one thing that has to be understood. This ETF changes nothing in terms of who controls the Bitcoin network. It doesn't matter. Why this is interesting is because a lot of folks are going to use this as a way to get people into their various funds. I'm looking at the expense ratios on these and how they've been coming down because it's literally a battle. Grayscale was at like 1.5%, which was kind of high. I saw other folks come in at 0.5, point this. Yo, Larry Fink and BlackRock came and was like, yo, they slammed their schlong on the table, pause, and was like, yo, 0.2. ARK, which was a little bit higher, just came out like, yo, all right, so we going free for the first 6 months, and then we're going to 0.21 overall. I'm sitting there like watching these people like battle with the expenses. It's going to be cheaper to control Bitcoin via this ETF than it is for some of these specific companies in which you pay for multi-sig, right? And for those who don't understand what that is, don't worry about it because some people have no idea what multi-sig is. But there's a fee associated with going multi-sig in certain scenarios. You can also set your own multi-sig up, such as what I do, but that's a little bit deeper. But the point is, now you'll have access to this through your IRA. So if you understand how to run specific strategies and get like a Roth, a self-directed Roth IRA, or even a regular Roth IRA, if you have to create a backdoor Roth IRA because you make too much money, you'll now be able to put this in your portfolio. I can buy Bitcoin via the ETF. And in some instances, some of these companies will start putting it as an option on your 401k, as the same way they have the S&P 500. So imagine now, as you're working your job and you're getting paid every 2 weeks, you're now storing your value in the hardest asset known to man, right? The thing that people don't realize is all of these asset classes, whether it be art, whether it be real estate, whether it be watches, whatever it may be, the stock market, it's money chasing scarcity.
Yep.
Money chases scarcity. That's what money does. Money chases scarcity, right? But Bitcoin has an advantage over all of that. The reason I've been stack sats or die trying saying these things and talk about like BTH, the reason I've been saying these things the way I have is because when you understand what money is, and I think that's the first part, people try to get into certain things not understanding, first off, what money is in terms of it being your actual energy, your time and your energy. When you understand money as being time and energy, when I exchange my labor and I'm getting like paid my time and energy and I can store this somewhere, right? People love real estate, but if real estate didn't offer you the ability to create cash or store value, who would care about it?
Not a single person in the world.
You see what I'm saying? But part of what made real estate the valuable asset class it is the market that surrounds it, and even Wall Street, right? There's more money in residential real estate than most asset classes because those things can be collateralized, put in ETFs, and do all kinds of other things. But the thing about real estate is, and we talk about this in our real estate valuation class, which is in our private group as well, is what actually gives it value. And the one thing that real estate has that's a negative is the geographic conditioning, right? If I live in Philadelphia and I want to move overseas and I want to take all my value with me, I can't just pick up my properties, right? I could do that if I have my money stored in Bitcoin. So once you understand Bitcoin as being an actual property, is digital property, the narrative around digital gold was one thing, but when you understand it as digital property, that changes everything. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but see,
So, go ahead, Corey.
we've done years of study, we've done years of teaching, and so we understand what Bitcoin is, what it's going to be, where it's if you can go on my timeline, I'm Corey Camp on every, and you could just look. I've been telling people this was coming since 2017. And the thing about what I've been telling people is that you just got to follow infrastructure. Wherever infrastructure is being built, that's where money is going to go. And the banks and these large companies have been building this infrastructure for 6 years. And now they're opening an ETF to open this 2024. And so this, for me, is something that I saw coming for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been telling people for years to buy $1 a day, do something small, get involved, hold it, don't sell it. You know what I mean? Like, and at a certain point, I just stopped, just like you. Like,
yeah, that's where I'm at now. Like, I don't even try to explain to folks no more. I just stopped because at this point,
if you're not getting involved in it, you don't want to be involved in it. And I can't do nothing for you. I can't help you. Nothing I'm going to do is going to make you get involved. So
I've even went as far as showing folks how to stack sats without even spending your own money, right?
Using the money you already spent.
I dropped a play this week in the group. Yo, here's a way you can get sats every week. Like, and I just do that all the time because, again, when you understand it as being property, it changes the way you look at things. And part of the problem is the cryptocurrency space because people confuse Bitcoin with cryptocurrency, right? But there is a reason that this is the first to get its own ETF, right? It may be the only ever. Now, the only other possible one is possibly Ethereum, maybe.
Yeah.
But time will tell on that. But there's a reason that this is what it is, right? People try to confuse
because it's
cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin.
Decentralized.
Because
the thing is, they can create 500 ETFs. They will never control the system.
And that's the thing, right? And the other part about it is, like, again, we talked about how we talk about Black wealth and we talk about personal finance. Now, don't get it misconstrued. I said it several times. I am not saying that Bitcoin is the solution to all of our problems as a community. but I also don't want us to get left behind in ways that we have with other asset classes, right? Because the fact of the matter is, it's scarce. There will only ever be what it's going to be, right? The 21 million, that's it. If you get a full Bitcoin, and I've been trying to tell folks, yo, do whatever you can to stack a full, get a half Bitcoin, get a full, whatever you can to stack that, you're going to put yourself in position to kind of like, have a lot of energy and value stored right there. And it's only one way it can go against the dollar. So this is why we've been preaching this, right? Before it was $1,000, back when it was a couple $100, we were talking about this. When you first pestered me and said, yo, just buy some, Bitcoin was less than $1,000.
It was $850.
It was less than that. It was in the sevens.
It was seven something. It was seven something.
So the thing is, and people laugh, like when it went to 60 and dropped, they're like, yo, I know you salty. I'm like, I'm salty that it's at 20 when I paid $600-700 for it. What am I salty about?
Yeah, like, okay, I'm salty.
And here's the other part about this, right? This is where it gets really crazy, right? And I'm not trying to get too technical, because I know a lot of people that listen to us, they love us and listen to hear our thoughts, but they're not really technical, and that's okay. Then we have other people who are just like, super nerded out and teach me, and that's fine. This ETF has the power to now, I go cop 100 shares, right? Which is backed by real Bitcoin. Now I'm sitting here running cover calls. So I'm generating money. I'm generating income off my paper Bitcoin.
Now, to be completely honest with folks, we've been doing this for years. We've been generating money off of Bitcoin for years.
Yeah,
you can do this in the DeFi space.
Yeah,
the DeFi space has allowed us to do this for years. But for the general public, you can now do what all the DeFi dudes have been doing for.
But the thing about it is, which makes this unique and interesting to me is, the DeFi space didn't have the ability to have as much capital poured into it, because now I can run cover calls, right? And even from a tax standpoint, I can do it in an IRA where there is no taxes. I can do it through a brokerage, which they'll handle everything on the back end in terms of figuring out what's what. And there's just so much value ready to be poured into this, which will do one thing now. So we also have the halvening coming up in about April, depending upon how the blocks go, but about April, which makes it even more scarce. At the same time, we have billions of dollars flooding into the market. Tomorrow is going to be a madhouse, because they have to back up these ETFs, which hits the market tomorrow with actual Bitcoin. Also, it's just a whole lot of ways to look at this. And like I said, I'm actually working on a short class where I'm going to draw the diagram out and show about the money coming from a specific asset classes into said ETF. But I think there's a couple points that I wanted to cover. One is, doesn't matter how much Bitcoin Wall Street has, they can't control the network. That's the first thing. The second thing is, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency aren't the same thing. So you could talk about your Polkadots and your Cardano, like that. None of them have this, like this, and it's for a reason, right? The other part is, this is a big deal, and I don't think that people recognize just how much of a big deal this is. There's going to be $1 billion flooded into the most scarce asset there is. Money chases scarcity. Once you understand that money chases scarcity, you look at all asset classes differently. So, right, real estate is a scarce asset. Real estate is not as scarce as Bitcoin, right? It just isn't. It just isn't. It just isn't. I can go across the globe and move here, move there. And also, I have the ability with Bitcoin, if I wanted to store my value. Now, store my value without anyone knowing what I have. If I buy now, I guess we're going to call real Bitcoin versus paper Bitcoin.
Yep.
The thing about it is that I also was thinking about how much more valuable is my real Bitcoin now, right? Because my real Bitcoin, I completely control. Yeah, I completely control. It has no third party. Now, the one thing about buying the ETF is now you're putting a third party in play, right? But by doing so, you allow trillions to come in. But on the other side, you don't have full control. The same thing applies when it comes to gold. People buy GLD, which is an ETF for gold. And by the way, this is not investment advice, just educational, informational purposes. People buy GLD all the time. Some of the biggest people in the precious metal space don't even buy the physical metals anymore. But again, you know, if we're in a scenario where all hell breaks loose and your gold is what you have as your value, your paper gold is no good there, right? Same thing applies to Bitcoin. Having that Bitcoin to me, it's more valuable, right? And I read a data point today. I don't necessarily agree because I have to see where they did the research from, but they said that an asset that is liquid has 10 times the value of a non-liquid asset. I said, hold on. I gotta go back and do some more research.
Yeah,
that sounds too much.
We were trying to look for.
Yeah, I couldn't. This is the first time I found something.
Yeah, like we were looking for years. We've been looking for something that.
But I think I don't know where Duke got this from. But
liquidity. What is the value of liquidity? We've been looking for that for years.
Yeah, I've talked about it. I've still never been able to find. I did see one thing today. I'll probably post it on social because I don't even know if I agree with it because I don't know where his research is based on. But he said 10 times. So imagine. And this is why REITs are so powerful, right? REITs are so powerful because now I get the access to real estate.
It gives real estate liquidity.
So go through all this song and dance that we've been talking about. The lead to this one thing for you, Core. I want you to think about this now. Because me and you haven't even talked about this. I was like, yo, let's jump on.
Yeah, and then talk about it. Yeah.
Let's just talk about it on the air. You know what our strategy was when we said let's simplify investing for folks?
Yep.
What was the strategy?
The strategy was buy one property a year, buy VU, and buy Bitcoin.
All right. So now guess what? A lot of times we went to teach that strategy in the community. We said, look, let's simplify it. Try to buy an investment property, buy a little Bitcoin if you can, and buy the S&P 500, right? And that was a simple triangle right there. And then protect it with some level of insurance, right? Whatever insurance works for you.
Whatever level.
Whatever works for you specifically. More than likely a term policy, whatever it may be. The response I got from a lot of folks is this. They were like, yo, I don't want to own physical property because I don't want to deal with tenants. So my reply is take that triangle, remove the individual property. Let's put a REIT there. Right? The other fight back is I don't want to have to worry about hot wallets and cold wallets and seed phrases. I don't want to have to deal with all that. Starting on January 11th, guess what? You don't have to. You can literally go to your brokerage, buy VU, the S&P 500, or VTI, the total stock market. Either one of them works. Go buy any of the Bitcoin ETFs. ARKB is ARKs because they got their own. IBIT is BlackRock's. Not promoting either one of them. That's the ones I remember off the top of my head. And then you can go buy VNQ or XLRE and have access to real estate. And boom, your trifecta is done in one account. And now your whole focus is finding a way to create value just to fill that account up.
Yep. And put it in
no thinking no more.
Tax free. Put it in something tax free.
Put it in something tax free. If you have the ability, you can fully fund your IRA, right? And now at your job, once some of these things hit, you can do this in your 457, 401k, 403b.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive, bro. Like, it's really, really simplified. But I think this is a very powerful, and I don't think that people really understand the gravity of, possibly trillions of dollars coming into the most scarce asset, what that can do for the price. And the funny thing about it is I don't even care about a Bitcoin price. Once I understand that it's property and that it's censorship resistant, I've made it my life's mission to stack as much as possible because to me, it's true value. It's true energy and time stored somewhere.
Yep.
So, but now I'm looking like, man, so I will utilize this, right? Because I max out my IRA every year. I'm just going to buy some, one of these. Like I'm going full Bitcoin, and you will be seeing me on your timeline running cover calls.
Yeah, see, I might run the cover calls, but I'm not putting this in my portfolio. I just don't trust them with my value ever, man.
Well, here's the thing. It's taking a proxy of something else. So instead of me buying, say, a Coca-Cola share, I'm going to buy IBIT or ARKB for argument's sake.
I'm not saying that it's a bad investment. I'm saying, me personally, I wouldn't buy.
I'm never going to stop buying the real, right? I'm never going to stop buying the real because it's the same thing applied when we were all like, we're teaching precious metals. And the thing is, it's not that I'm against precious metals. I just think that Bitcoin's a better store of value, which is why I don't talk about precious metals as much. But I still got all my dips.
Yeah, none of that goes away.
In fact, I got a new thing I'm doing. It's more of a numismatic collector's type thing. I'm trying to buy and again, not investment. I'm just throwing it out there with something I want to see if I could do. I want to collect every Eagle with a grade of 70 from every year since it's been released. That's a personal thing. That has nothing to do. That's more of like a collector's thing. But what I'm saying is like this just makes everything easier and gives more access. So I would love to hear everybody's thoughts about what do you think about the ETF? Do you think it's a big deal? Do you think that Wall Street's trying to manipulate something at all? Will you be buying this in your portfolio? Do you not care about this at all? Do you hate when we talk about Bitcoin? Even if that's the case, let us know that as well.
Right?
I mean, I'm not going to stop. I mean,
tell us you hate us. Tell us you hate us.
You tell us you hate us too. I'm cool with that. I love the hate. Here's the thing. We've been giving away Bitcoin for a couple years now every Friday, right? As little as $25, and some days we gave away several $100 on Fridays, depending upon how things are going. And what I mean by that is a lot of times it's our community. It's not even us. We give away $25 every week, but we have folks come and say, yo, double that, triple that. Shout out to our brother Pass. Pass come and drop a couple $100 like, yo, give everybody something. We've been doing that for a couple years now. And it's funny because people have sent me messages like, yo, I got a third of a Bitcoin just listening to your show. Like, and now guess what's going to happen to their value? As we're recording this, I'm going to tell you what the price is. The price of Bitcoin was over $47,000.
All right, so let's do this. Go back, let's say 3 years since we've been doing this. And on this date 3 years ago, what was the price of Bitcoin?
All right, so let me check that out. Price of Bitcoin, let's just say January 2020. What was the price of Bitcoin on January 2020? That can't be right. Yes, it is. It says Bitcoin's price at the beginning of 2020 was $6,965.72. By January 31st, it was $9,357.
So let's just say between $6,000 and $9,000. It's $47,000 right here. Right? So let's just say, let's take the top number. It's still 5x. It's still 5x from that time. Like, so if you take that bottom number, it almost 10x. So let's just like,
yeah,
like whatever, man. Like people would just, you know.
Yeah. So with all that being said, man, let us know what you think. Give us some feedback. Show us some love, and pull up on Friday 7 p.m. On YouTube as well as our Facebook page. Pull up, and we're probably gonna talk a little bit more about it this Friday. But I want to make sure I get that message out that don't worry, they can't control the network. Doesn't matter. All they're gonna do is pump our bags. Let's get it. Speaking of pump our bags, yo, I was watching a movie last night, which was absolutely insane. It was about the whole GameStop thing. It's called Dumb Money.
Yeah. No, man, I can't. I watched it. I'm not gonna say.
I was getting ready to say that too. I can't tell you how I was Kanye. I can't tell you how I watched it.
I watched it,
but I watched it because I don't think it dropped yet. But Kanye. I mean,
yeah.
He tell you what kind of doctor it was, But anyway, no, but that was purely comical, yo. It was very comical, man. But yeah. So check that out if y'all can. Give us some feedback, man. We appreciate the support of our YouTube channel. Please make sure you subscribe. We are trying to hit 10K before this year is out. We'll keep creating content and talking about the things we love. You know what I mean? We could probably sell out real easy and get a 10K, but that ain't what we gonna do, bro.
Never you worry.
Yeah, we
gonna grind it out like we always do, bro. Like, because the thing you have to know about us is that we are a community-based organization.
Yes.
And so what most people think we are, we aren't. Even though the thing we do, we used to go to people's houses. And I mean to people's houses. Like places where, like ain't no drug-free school zones and none of that. Like we used to go to people's cribs to give people this information. We used to go to the public libraries in the city to give people this information.
Yeah.
Then we came online and was giving it away for free, and nobody respected it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody respected that, except for the people who we went to them and gave them this information. They understand it and they respect it. But in general, people don't respect free. Like, we literally were doing this for free. And we went to the library. We would get 10, 15, maybe 20 people who would show up. And we would get 200 people that said it was coming. We would get 10, 15 people maybe. We would go to people's houses. We would say, you put 10 people in the room, we show up. Then we was like, forget 10, put 5 people in the room and we'll show up. And we weren't charging these people nothing for this.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Absolutely nothing. We would spend half a day, 4, 5, 6 hours explaining what Bitcoin was and explaining how to get into the stock market. And
man, I set people's living rooms, help them set up their hot wallets, help them set up cold storage, show them how to protect their seed phrases.
So
this is back in 2016, 17. We've been doing this.
We've been doing this boots on the ground for years. We've run our kids camp. We were running our kids camp out of one of our great supporters, Wanda Walker. We were running it out of her building, and we would have parents coming in and saying, this is such a wonderful opportunity and all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, we paid for all that.
We used to feed them and everything. But here's the thing, though. I'm not complaining about it because our journey is our journey.
What I'm saying is, I'm just talking about the time we put in. This is not a complaint. This is just about time in action. So when we say these things, we're not coming from a place of I got you or none of that. It's we've been doing this for years. So if we're silent, that means that we are not, it's just, you can still hit us up. Like, if you hit me up on my, I still have socials. I just don't get on social. So if you, like Jim, you gotta at me. Because if the conversation is going on and you don't at me, I'm not going to see it because I'm not going nowhere on my socials unless I get a ping to go there. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's just because for me, socials are poison.
Yeah, like, I'm coming along on that too. And the thing is, it doesn't bother me as much. I like YouTube because it gives us the ability to like have deeper conversations, and things like that. But I am falling out of love with social or whatever. But it's okay though, because the one thing that won't stop is the actual work. We're still going to have our camp this year. And I'm in the street out here anyway. Like I said, I'm speaking at conferences and things like that. So it's like we still outside, but it's just a little different. We were in like certain places we probably shouldn't have been talking about, like, certain asset classes, right? And that's okay because that's part of our story and our journey. And the beautiful thing about it is all of it's documented. That's the beautiful thing. So when our story is told, you'll be able to see, like, they was in the middle of North Philly, like just talking, like, you know what I'm saying? South Philly, just talking, people's living rooms, like just. So this is kind of like, the work, and honestly, that's my most fulfilling work is being amongst the people.
Yeah,
I got a message 2 weeks ago from somebody, right? And this may not sound like a lot to some folks, but this brother just cracked 50K in assets, right? He started listening to us and rocking with us about 2019 or so. He was so excited. He was like, yo, I have 50K stacked. He's working, doing well for himself, but he said, he didn't invest before then. He has 50K stacked.
And that's
Bitcoin, and between Bitcoin and the S&P, he has 50K stacked. And this is a dude in his 20s, and he was so excited. He sent me the message and was thanking me, and like, you know what I'm saying? And like, I'm just like, man, like nothing can beat that. Because I told him, I was like, dude, you got 10 more years before you turn like 35. I said, in 10 more years, you're probably gonna have 4 or 5 times that. It's like you're putting yourself in a position that like a lot of your friends and family just aren't, just by
they would never be able to be in this position.
Yeah, so it's stories like that that'll make sure that the work that goes on. I got
an inbox full of thank you for helping me set this up, or thank you for getting me into Bitcoin. Thank you for getting I got an inbox full of that stuff.
For anybody who thinks we're your client, go to buythehood.com. We put some of the testimonials right on the website. We didn't put them all up there because we still continuously get them, but I mean, they're right there, man. So the work will continue. This ETF is just an interesting time in history. Episode 200 and Steve Atwater.
I'm going to say this, and this is something that I've never said on this show. I told you so.
All I'm gonna say is when we hit 6 figures per coin, I'm gonna have to debate whether I'm coming on this joint again. So,
it's gonna be debatable. It's like, do I really have to do this? Should I do this?
Y'all might see me barefoot in Morocco walking with a pet honey badger or something. Like, sipping Crystal Light. Like, y'all be like, what's wrong with this dude? Like, yeah, that's yeah. I mean, being a beach in El Salvador filled with cigars.
Filled with tigers and mongooses. Crazy. Anyway, elephants walking around in his backyard. Nuts. Not me. I'm gonna tell you where I'm gonna be. Off the net, you're not gonna be able to find me at all. You won't know what I'm doing. I'm just telling you. You're not gonna know. I have zero want to stunt on people. Like, my thing is this: it get on my nerves when people who got a little bit of something stunt on poor people. It drives me absolutely nuts. And so
you about to lead to a whole other conversation. Let's say this for Friday, because
all right.
I was thinking about, I'm gonna just tell you my synopsis of why I say that, because I got a deeper thought about that. I was thinking about, like, I was watching something, they were talking about bullying, and I was thinking about the concept of bullying, how people will bully people because they were like fat or poor or whatever it may be. Like, it's like, yo, they already got it bad enough. What are you doing? But I got a whole deeper thought about that we could jump into.
All right, we'll do that Friday,
because we way off. This sounds like a Friday show right now. Friday we talk about every and anything. So pull up Friday 7 p.m. Yeah. Because one of the things I want to talk about this Friday too is respectability politics as it pertains to Black wealth. I want to talk about that. So we'll get into that. But for everybody watching this, man, we really appreciate you. We really love you guys, and we mean that. We love anybody that supports us in any way. That's what Buy the Hood is about. Buy the Hood equals Black love. So give us some feedback. Let us know what's good, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. We're episode 220. So this is 200 and Steve Atwater. Next show is 200 and Marshall Falk. Isn't Marshall Falk 28?
Daryl Green.
All right. Let's go Daryl Green. Daryl Green and Marshall Falk, though. Although I think Marshall Falk at this point might be one of the most underrated players, because as time goes on, people forget.
He is my favorite running back of all time.
But as time goes on, people forget just how nasty and nice he was. Like, he
won me my first fantasy football championship.
Shout out to Marshall Falk, man. Anyway, man, as we always say, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we'll see you guys in our next episode. Peace.